Coming to you live Tuesday around 7:20. Sage, the Warriors get their biggest win of the year, in my opinion. They go to the Mecca, to New York City, pull out the win 114-102 against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. Started off shaky, Sage. They couldn't hit any shots in the first half, but their defense throughout was solid, and Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler came to play in the second half, and they got the win. They pulled it out.
No, I mean, it's what you wanted to see from this team, right? Like 100%. So they don't have their shots dropping once again. They can't get any offense. Terrible defense in the first half. In that first quarter, really. I mean, you're letting the Knicks get to the line, get to the rim, do whatever they want on you, and then it just all flips, right? Like resiliency, Jimmy taking over in the fourth quarter after kind of no-showing, and just everyone doing their role. It's just something you want to see with this team as they grow together. So hell of a win on the road in the Mecca, a place they're comfortable playing in, a place they always win in.
I mean, we honestly didn't even know if Steph Curry was going to play before the game. He obviously, yesterday against the Charlotte Hornets, got his ankle hurt a little bit. You thought on the back-to-back it may have been tough to go and play, but I told you, Sage. I told you earlier in the day, you didn't think he was going to play, but I'm like, it's MSG. Steph's going to try to suit up, and Steph was the Steph that we've seen all year. So he put up 25. Him and Butler led the scoring, but like I said, Sage, I think it was the defense all day. Jalen Brunson did his job. He had 25 points. Honestly, he impressed me throughout, Sage. I know that you're not the biggest Jalen Brunson fan, but I thought he played well. But in that fourth quarter, he didn't take a shot until the 3-minute mark. Got to give credit to Moses Moody and that entire Warriors defense for making it hard on the Knicks all day. They didn't whatever struggles the Warriors had shooting, the Knicks were even worse. And outside of Brunson and OG Anunoby, who, I don't know, Sage, was this the best offensive game you've ever seen from OG Anunoby? I've never seen him play like this. Outside of those two, the Knicks really didn't do that much.
So if you follow like Real Sports, like the app where they post all like the scores, like sometimes they'll post
I don't, but it seems like everybody goes off of that. I feel like I need to jump into that now.
So every now and then, like they'll post, because I don't really watch the Knicks as closely as maybe others, but sometimes they'll post an OG Anunoby stat line. Like I can never, because his shot looks broken, like everything. So it's like sometimes I could just never imagine him doing that. And then today, like hitting corner threes, step back, side step threes. I mean, I guess the guy has a bag. It's like a once every 10 games, like he could give you 20, 30, but it happened today and they were able to extinguish the flames. So, I mean, Jimmy couldn't do anything with him in that first half. He was eating Jimmy up on defense, scoring on Jimmy.
6 points, and it looked ugly. It looked ugly.
Yeah. Just big body going down the lane. I mean, knocked Kevin Knox to Hoboken, driving through the lane, just like sidestep, made a business decision, and then wouldn't take the charge and then isn't seen again for the rest of the game. So Steve Kerr had enough of that. But I mean, you fight off a good Anunoby game. You minimize Brunson as much as you can. You don't foul him. You know, you kind of like stick with him. You have Moody, Pods. I mean, what a first half by Pods, keeping them in. I mean, you got to shout that guy out. Like the bigs didn't really have it, but the guards, right? Moody steps up, Pod steps up. And I mean, he really kept him in, and then Curry takes over in the second half.
Let's talk about Pods a little bit, because other than Steph, I feel like Podziemski's been the one that has had the most impact since Jimmy Butler left. I mean, we always brought it up at the start of the year. Everybody wanted him out of town, but it seems like, especially in those lineups where Steph's off the court and Podziemski's kind of running the show with Jimmy, he doesn't have as much to do now. Podziemski's a talented player, and it seems like now with Jimmy out there kind of running the show, being the main guy, that he just has to find his holes, and he's talented, and I feel like it's just a lot easier for him to flow into the game where he can just find his spot, and he doesn't have to lead the show like he did before Jimmy. So he was impressive all day, even on defense too.
100%. I mean, I don't know if he took any charges, but staying in front, he's always the first guy to get to the rim. He's always running, like always trying his best. Like he never half-asses, right? Like you have these guys, you know, whoever you want to say, like even Jimmy kind of took that first half off, it felt like. And Pods is just not in his DNA. He's the guy who on free throws is at the top of the key, running in, trying to tip it in, always taking charges, like hustling. The Warriors need that. They're an older team. It's like funny to think, but like you look over to the East and the Knicks are kind of like the Eastern version of the Warriors without like the superstars. It's like they have like the young, gritty players who just give it 100% and they're a bitch to play. Like you would never really think of the Warriors as like dogs, like a team that's going to beat you up. But like the guys who do it, it's like funny. It's Pods and it's Moody, like guys who are just first guys on the floor, taking charges, fighting for every rebound, and they like add what you need. Like it's like funny because it's what a basketball team needs is you need those dirty work guys who it can't be Draymond every time. Like you have a guy like Podziemski, you have a guy like Moody in the starting lineup to do that type of shit. So Draymond, Steph, and Jimmy could just run the offense and play off each other. It flows so perfectly.
Moody did good today too. I mean, not the sexiest stat sheet night. Like I think what did Moody?
Yeah, he's missing
I think
a lot
Moody.
of shots.
I think Moody maybe got a couple late game kind of like stat padding buckets at the end there, but he didn't really do that much on offense. But it seemed like he was the main guy on Brunson all night, and I think he did a good job. And like you said, Sage, with guys like Podziemski and Moody now, you just got to be a dirty kind of just find your role. And with Moody, didn't hit that many shots tonight, but I feel like if he's just a 3-and-D guy the rest of the way out, he's lanky, athletic. That's all we need him to be. And it seemed like tonight he just focused on the defensive side of the ball. And some nights that's what you got to do. You got to sacrifice whatever kind of points or output you could get on offense to do the job on the best player for the Knicks. And in that fourth quarter, he made it really hard on Brunson to get open and get open shots.
Chase, we said it when we were talking about Iggy, right? Like how important it is to have no egos on the team. Like guys who are willing to just put the team first, put winning first. Like that's 100% what Moody and Podziemski are. Like they're guys who will they'll get benched. Like look at Moody, bro. He was in the doghouse for basically the first 2.5 years of his career. Always first man up, like ready to go, like mentality. In the play-in game against the Kings, like only guy who gave a shit, came in cold, like was the only reason we didn't get blown out. Like this year, like kind of, like pushed to the side. Like we had Melton, we had Buddy Hield, and he kind of wasn't getting any time. Now, like you see it, the spot opens up. He fits like a glove with Jimmy, with Steph, does the dirty work, and he's always ready to go. That corner three is becoming money. It wasn't really there today, but he's not Steph. Like there's going to be games like this is the NBA, 82-game season. Like you're not going to have it some other nights. Like how else can you impact a game? That's what it comes down to, right? It's like, how else can you impact a game? And he could impact it in so many different ways. Like he's playing hard defense. He's always swarming to the ball. So you got to love having that, like the youth and all of that. And then just like when Kuminga comes back, you're going to really have three dogs, like three young dogs who are going to give you that every game, night in, night out.
They brought the energy all night. I was kind of surprised, Sage, because that MSG crowd looked like they were into it. I mean, I don't know if you were listening to First Take this morning, but Ocho, they were all talking like, who's getting tickets to the Warriors-Knicks games? It seemed like the entire city wanted to go to this game. They love Steph Curry out there, but you'd feel like the home crowd was jacked up, but it seemed like the Warriors at the end of it had all the energy. It felt like they needed to get this game. You didn't think so? I felt like the Warriors' energy was way higher than the Knicks at the end there.
Oh, 100%.
It seemed like they knew they had to get this game, and they went for this game, and maybe they're going to pack it in on Thursday against the Nets. That's what I think.
No, 100%. Like I literally had this thought, like it felt like the Knicks were the team, the older team on the back-to-back, right? Like the Warriors coming off, I guess, like a blowout win. So they kind of took their foot off the gas in the second half. I don't think Curry played the fourth quarter yesterday. So he was fresh, but he rolled his ankle. So he was a little hobbled. You didn't know what you were going to get. And just, I mean, it's funny because the way it worked is like the Warriors came out slow. I mean, in that first half, unforced turnovers, couldn't hit a three, couldn't hit the side of the barn to save their lives. You have Jimmy shooting the flattest jumpers of all time. I think they
Steph was getting beat up.
Yeah. I think
we have to talk about ran into the fans.
Hold on, let's talk about that.
Oh my God, this could be bad. I'm like, Steph like might fucking really get hurt like in this game. And
I want to table that because I have something on that I want to get into, but just like missing layups, like couldn't finish, just miscommunication, throwing the ball.
Wide open threes, just fucking clanking them.
So I want to go off your point now, right?
Yeah.
I think that's why Steph came out so hot in the second half. Like they were like, it was like the Jordan rules. Like Mikal Bridges holding him, like he's a Kello Witherspoon. Like every play, just like he couldn't move. Like they could have called that foul every single time.
Hand checking all day.
OG Anunoby come and send hard ass screens. Draymond even fucking getting him one time, like threw Mikal Bridges right into him. They threw him into
friendly fire a little bit. Yeah.
Hits a three, like steps on a fan's foot and falls. Somebody spills like their drink on him. And I just think like it motivated him. He came out firing. I mean, he was cooking in that third quarter. Vintage Warriors third quarter, took control of the game and just really didn't look back.
It's like the new vintage Warriors third quarter. I mean, Steph gets heated up. I think he had some points in the second quarter there, but he really started to make a difference in the game in the third quarter. But It's also Jimmy getting to the line, which it seems like it solves everything now.
It does.
It really does, because it gets Steph rest, and that's just Jimmy being aggressive. And that's exactly what we missed with Wiggins, a guy who maybe if Steph's not having the best night or if Steph needs to take a breather, he's just going to take the ball, go to the rack. And I think, what did Jimmy have? About 10 free throws a day, especially in the end there.
Zero in the first half.
When we needed to get a bucket at the end there to really lock up the game, he was just doing that all day. He was getting to the line, and that's what we need. That's what the Warriors need.
100%. I mean, like, you just think about it, right? It's like in the first quarter, Steph's not doing anything. He's playing non-aggressive. Jimmy's really not, like, he's trying, but he can't do anything. And it's Pajemski, like, really carrying you. In that third quarter, Steph goes to the bench. What happens? Buddy Hield heats up, keeps you afloat, right? And then it's 93-92, 7 minutes left. Steph checks back in, 11-2 run right off the bat. And they just never look back. And it just, they heat up despite the refs, some terrible, terrible calls. Like, I hate getting into it with the NBA.
Shaky game from the refs for sure.
You could complain about the refs every night, like whenever you want to, like you could always point to the refs. But tonight it was just weird, man. Like, it felt like every opportunity they had, they just screwed the Warriors, but it didn't matter. I mean, you shot the hell out of the ball in that third and fourth quarter. You rebounded. You came with some energy. I mean, dude, like, I watch a lot of NBA. No one, I swear, no one plays defense like the Warriors. The way they play team defense, like the way they hound the ball, the double teams, like the actions, the way they use zones, like the way they double, like the way they just move as a unit. It's crazy. The way Stackhouse has these guys firing on defense, it's special. Like, it really is special. From the start of the season, too, like, you could tell, like, the defensive side of the ball really stepped up, really changed. And like this game, right? Like, you have OG going off, but you really bottle up Brunson and you make them, make decisions. Like, at the end, they they're trying to go one-on-one. Here comes the double. Here, now they're switching across the ball. Now you have Deuce McBride, like Precious Achiuwa, trying to make offense because there's 6 seconds left on the shot clock. Just really smart unit. Like, the way that they played it, the way that they like swarm as a team, it's so like fun to watch. It's like old Warriors basketball.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you get a guy like Jimmy Butler, everybody kind of brought up how when you lose Wiggins, you're going to lose your point of attack defender. You're going to lose probably the most athletic guy. But this defense is working a lot better because now with Jimmy, you have 3 high IQ basketball players on the court. And even though Jimmy's probably not better than Wiggins one-on-one, the way that he helps on defense, and I don't know, Sage, what I was most impressed with late in that game was just Jimmy playing off of Draymond. I mean, how many back cuts did Draymond hit tonight where Jimmy just kind of made a move, cut to the basket, and it was a wide open dunk? So it seems like Jimmy Butler's IQ is what is causing the difference on defense and offense.
100%. I mean, I think like once we get Kuminga back, like he is going to eat off those backdoor cuts, like those back screens, like playing off Steph's man and just cutting to the basket. His post game and his like ability to get to the line, that's one thing, right? Like, it's clutch down the stretch, but the way he moves the ball around the court, like the way he is as a decision maker, how he gets the ball to like Pajemski, to Moody, to Hield on these cuts, like it's so underrated, like part of his game where you really have to watch it to appreciate it, right? Because even like someone who, like I say, me and you, we follow the league, maybe not as closely with the Heat, but now that he's here, you could kind of see it. Like, this is why people who like him like fight for him, because he really does affect the game, impact the game, every level of the game. Like, he's finding the open guy, making the right passes. I mean, it's a little frustrating, like that first half, right? Like, that's your fear when you get a guy like Jimmy, right? This was like the big fear is like when he's on, it's perfect. But sometimes, a little bit on cruise control. Like, it's not an every other night guy, but like maybe an every other quarter guy. He's like a seasoned boxer, like take a round off here and there. But like when it's go time, when it's like clutch time, nut crunch, got to get a bucket, he's going to show up. He's going to be that guy.
It seems like he just unlocks everybody because the Warriors, before they got Jimmy, it seems like they were just relying on the role guys like Pods, Moody, Hield to just always be consistent and do too much. And in all reality, they're just not that good. But it seems like Jimmy has just found a way to...
You think they're good? You're an asshole.
Well, no, I mean, like, Pajemski is not going to be a guy who reliably could run that second unit by himself. I don't think that Moses Moody is going to be a starting 2-guard in this league that it's like you just give him 20 shots a game. So I feel like they're role players. And when you get Jimmy in there, when you get a second option, it seems like it allows those other guys to just fit into their role. And it's just made everything with this team work. And I'm at the point where Can we just bring Jonathan Kuminga back in? Because I know what we
Oh
look
my
like
God.
with Jimmy right now. I think that this is their most impressive win since Jimmy Butler's came to town. I mean, back-to-back, tough place to go to. I mean, Madison Square Garden is a tough place to go to. This is a tough Knicks team. I'd say they're a top 3 team in the East. I don't give them that much of a chance to go that deep into the playoffs or make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but this has been one of the best teams in the NBA over the past couple of years. You're coming off a back-to-back, and you get a win. Without Kuminga, they didn't have Cat, but still, I'm impressed with them, and I just want to see what happens when you throw Kuminga into the situation, because I think sky's the limit if you get performances like you got out of Kuminga before he got injured. It's just,
I mean, dude,
I'm scared because you never know with Kuminga how he's going to fit into these situations.
No, 100%. I mean, he's the type of guy where, like, when he's on, and when he's not on, he's a huge net negative, right? Like, I'm not saying he can only impact the game one way, but he kind of only impacts the game one or two ways, right? Like, he's not really a playmaker. He's not really he feels like he should be a better defender than he is, but the athleticism, the way he opens up the passing lanes, like the way his athleticism kind of you got to put more attention in the paint because he's a lob threat. He's a guy who could get to the rim. And with the IQ of Draymond and Jimmy, I think it's really going to work. His lack of ability to shoot is going to be, a little frightening. You got to see how that part fits. But like GP2 plays so well with Jimmy, right? Like he's been the 6th man, 7th man with Jimmy here. So I just think like when you have such high IQ players, like I think they just find a way to work. They find a way to make it work. Like look at the Lakers, like Luka, LeBron, 2 ball-centric guys. Yeah. Everyone was like, how's it going to work? They both need the ball. They're geniuses. Like they're basketball.
That is Luka LeBron, though. That is Luka LeBron. Like that was bound to work no matter what.
But I just think people underestimate the fact when like you have 2 guys like who don't have egos, like just want to win, then it's scary. If Kuminga is going to come out and be like how he was last year and just, be cryptic, want the ball, want to get his money because, he has his contract coming up.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm scared about.
That's what I feel like. Scary.
I feel like he's going to try to implement himself right away, knowing that if he doesn't ball out, he's probably not going to get a $35 million a year contract. And I think Draymond brought it up when they asked him at a press conference. They said, Jonathan Kuminga is starting to practice. He's going to come back into the situation. How do you try to get him back in a groove with this team and make sure that it doesn't screw up what's been happening over the past 8 games? And he acknowledged that's tough because you're going for a contract. You want to get yours, but you also just got to find a way to fit into the team, and you don't want to press. So because we've seen Jonathan Kuminga, and we're going to connect sports a little bit here, but Kuminga, we've seen that he can have an attitude like a guy like Brandon Ayuk a little bit.
I was going to say he reminds me of Deebo.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that, like, please, dear God, Kuminga, just find a role in this team. I feel like if he finds a role and just, like, tries to, like, fit in, he's going to get his money. It's going to work. Like you said, Sage, you got Draymond, Steph, Jimmy. No one's going to be focused on Jonathan Kuminga. They're going to get you the ball in key situations and put you in the best position to succeed. Just fit into that role, and you'll be fine.
I agree, but at the same time, like he's literally exactly what this team needs. Like they need an athletic wing right now. Like the only thing I feel like they lack right now is athleticism. They don't feel small, but they at times just feel slow. Like Jimmy feels a little slow. Draymond feels a little slow. Moody feels slow. Like they try and get out in transition, but they're not burning teams. Like they still get out there. And what they're killing teams with is their intelligence right now. I just feel like they're outthinking teams. They're outworking teams like with their minds. But like you add Kuminga, a guy who could out physical, be athletic, get to the rim, be a lob threat. Then I just feel like you could unlock this in a whole different way. He just has to be bought into the system and realize like, sometimes when you're on the court, bro, like you're going to have to play defense. Like you're going to have to be the guy rebounding because we have Steph, we have Jimmy, and we have like maybe Pajemski's getting hot, right? Like you got to find a way to fit and do the other little shit because you're the best athlete on this team. And without Wiggins, like we need that athleticism. We need a guy who could, go get to the hole when he needs to, but at the same time, defend and do the dirty work.
My question is though, Sage, who closes? Is he going to be in that closing 5?
No, it's got to be the same lineup. It's worked
right
too well.
Because you've seen the starting lineup. This is by far the best lineups that's worked all year. And you're right. Kuminga is that athletic freak that they need, but do you trust him in late game situations? Because I feel like there are going to be situations where some smart defenses key in on Steph, Jimmy, and allow Kuminga in the corner to shoot a wide open 3. And I'm hopeful that Jonathan Kuminga could make that part of his game better, but we've seen that he could struggle with the three ball sometimes. So I don't know if I trust him in those closing minutes, but to eat up minutes in the middle of the game and with some of the non-Steph minutes, for sure, Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a huge addition and is honestly going to be key if the Warriors are going to try to win a championship. You're not going to win a championship, even though this team looks great, without Jonathan Kuminga playing his best basketball. He's the piece that you need.
100%, like 100%, like you're going to need the contribution from these young guys, right? Like Steph, Jimmy, like they can do it on back-to-backs, but they can't do it for 8 quarters in a row. Like in this first half, like you need a guy like Pajemski to carry you to kind of, get the thing going. Like he was balling out, kind of got him off the ground, and then Jimmy and Steph could close. They can give you a great half on a back-to-back, but at times, like you need Kuminga to be the guy. You need him to take over for a quarter. But when Steph and Jimmy got it cooking, like, can you take a back seat? Like, can you be the guy to just let them cook, do the dirty work? Like, I need to see it from him because he's been on one mode ever since the season started, and he's been playing great. Like, he was playing some of his best ball. I think he's averaging close to 20. I don't have it in front of me. Shooting well, like at the line, getting to the rim. But it's the little things now. Like, if you want to be a winning basketball player, like in the playoffs, right? Like, he was kind of unplayable. That series against the Lakers, the series against the Kings, he was unplayable because he wouldn't do the little shit that it takes to win games. You're mature. You're going for a contract. Can you prove it now? Can you prove that you could be a cog in a winning team? So, like, now's the opportunity. We're plugging you in mid-March. Like, it's go time. You got a warm-up game against the Nets, who you got to get back even with because that loss to the Nets earlier this season still fucking sticks in my side when Schroeder absolutely cooked us in the fourth quarter. Get even with them, and then you got a good game Saturday, and he's probably going to be back for that. Because the Pistons aren't a joke.
Schroeder really did us dirty by killing us in that game, and then he
got his Jimmy, though.
The Anthony Melton for him, and yeah, he got Jimmy Butler, but what I will say, so Jonathan Kuminga, they're expecting him to come back on Saturday, Sage, and you got to think that when Kuminga comes back, he's going to take minutes from some people, and that's probably going to be a guy like Quentin Post, honestly. Front court guys like Quentin Post. I thought he was the worst player on the court today, Sage. He did not have a good game. Quentin Post.
Come on, bro. That's exaggeration.
No, but I thought he's been a revelation.
Campaign played. Campaign was on the court
today, Sage. He looked weak inside, and I know I'm very impressed with his shooting. I think he has a natural stroke. He's going to be key in some situations to spreading the court.
That walking three hit, come on.
Compared to a guy like Kevon Looney, I like Quentin Post in there better. I do. But there's some situations, Sage, where he just does not look aggressive enough inside, and he seems like a liability. And I think that happened a bit today with Quentin Post.
I don't know, man. I thought Josh Hart was brutal today. I thought he played basically the whole game. He was
not good either. No, he was not
good.
Did
nothing. Literally did nothing. I mean, Campaign touched the court. I think Landry Shamet was on the court. You're gonna come at Quentin Post. So maybe he was the worst Warrior. I'll give you that.
I thought he was the worst Warrior. I thought he was the worst Warrior on the court today. Guy Santos had the early. He had the early. Yeah,
he was running away with the title at first.
Yeah,
but he came in.
He had
strong
a good little
second
half spurt though, so I can't give it to Guy.
No, I 100% agree. So are you done with the Warriors? Because I kind of want to get into the Knicks a little.
Let's talk Knicks because we're gonna talk a little bit more NBA. And earlier in the show, Sage, I brought up I don't know if they're on that level of Boston and the Celtics. They didn't have Cat today, but I mean, definitely not a good game for the Knicks. You came in a lot more rested than the Warriors, and they kind of took it away at the end there.
Dude, that was a weird Knicks game, right? Because it was like everything you thought that the way you thought they could present you problems, it didn't happen, right? Like it was OG Anunoby. Like a guy like OG Anunoby, like kind of killing you. Mikal Bridges, man, like it's been such a weird year for that guy. Like I think he always like gets out of bed a little more like prideful when he goes up against the Warriors, whatever it is. He loves to guard Steph, but like the shot's just not there anymore. Like his offensive game just really isn't there. Yeah. And Brunson, like if he's not getting to the line and hitting threes, like you could kind of bottle him up. He doesn't get to the rim like he was last year. I feel like that rule change that they had last year midseason kind of, sunk his offense a bit. I mean, he's going to be first or second team All-NBA. Did he look like a better player than Steph today? Like, I don't even think.
Wait, hold on. You think he's going to be first or second team All-NBA? Mikal Bridges?
No, Brunson. I'm saying Brunson.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, I'm saying Brunson. Like, did Brunson look like he was even near Steph's level today? Like, it was night and day. Like, Steph.
So I thought in the first half he carried the Knicks. I mean, they were up 8, and I think a large part of that was Brunson. OG had a good first half as well, but what was weird to me is that he was just so not aggressive when he came into the game in the fourth quarter. I think the Warriors were up like
one
5.
shot.
And that, for me, that was when I was like, okay, we got to watch out. Brunson's at home. He's going to try to get this crowd going and take this game back. And really was just not decisive all night. I'm impressed with Brunson. I love his game. But if we're talking about in the playoffs, he's a small guy. He kind of gives me, I think he's in a lot better version, but he reminds me of that Isaiah Thomas Celtics year where he lit up the regular season. I think they got either a 1 or 2 seed in the East, but when he has such a high usage rate and he has that kind of body, it just seems like he's going to get beat up. It seems like he's going to get beat up, and Thibodeau's the worst kind of coach for a guy like Jalen Brunson because he's going to run him into the ground, and I thought that in part was why the Knicks were so tired at the end of the game. Thibodeau just runs these guys into the ground. They don't have a great bench. I think their bench is clearly the weakness, so they really try to rely on that starting 5, but Tom Thibodeau is almost an example of why I believe in load management. Like, I've seen it with Tom Thibodeau teams, and it's like, oh, shit, maybe they should use some load management because they always die late in the playoffs. I mean, look at them last year. I think they came out, had a great series against the Sixers, and then against that Pacers in the semifinals just fell apart.
Yeah. Like OG, I think, pulled his hamstring. Brunson, was it his hand? He like broke his hand or something weird. I don't know. He got like,
but that was at the end. They were already done. Yeah. They were already done when Brunson got hurt.
But honestly, it's huge because I think Cat's been their best player this year, and Cat always kills the Warriors. No matter what, he always kills the Warriors. So I think it is a different game if Cat plays. But as a unit, like if one of them's not on, right? Like you're relying on guys like OG Anunoby, who played great today, right? But like we know what he is like on a night-to-night basis, like in the playoffs. Will it be there against the Boston? Probably not. Like he's great to have against a team that has a good wing because he could defend. But then like Josh Hart, right? Like first team all hustle. He's from the school of Brandon Pajemski. Like gonna do the dirty work, gonna hustle, gonna take charges. Always gonna be there. What does he play? Like he plays like 40 minutes a night. Didn't really play that much tonight because he was stinking up the joint. But I just like I don't know, man. Like I just think they're 3 deep, and then the rest of their team's like so on and off. Where like you look at a team like Boston, who's like a legitimate 7 deep, like probably the best starting 5. They have the 6th man of the year, and Al Horford's playing good too. You look at
they're not on their level. They're not on their level.
They're not.
Even Stephen A said it. I mean, Stephen A is probably the biggest Knicks fan.
Who we'll get into later.
Who we're going to get into later. That guy's been causing a ruckus, but I just don't think they're on that level stage. Yeah, they remind tonight they reminded me of the pre-Jimmy Warriors, where Brunson is the Steph, where if Brunson isn't aggressive as hell and winning the game for them, you're going to have to rely on guys like OG Anunoby to have a 30-point night, which he did, but it still wasn't enough. They just don't have enough weapons outside of them. And Bridges, he must have the best PR guy in the league because I was impressed with him on Phoenix. He's a great he's a great 2-wing guy. He's a great defender. I thought he played very solid D on Steph all night, but at the start of the year, you saw the jumper was a little bit off. It's like, wait, hold on. What happened with his jumper? Why does it look so different? And it just looks unnatural. And I get that Mitchell Robinson just came back. Everybody in New York thinks that's going to be the big thing to push them over the edge, but they just don't have enough talent. And it is a little bit unfair to bring this up when they don't have Cat. Because I think, like you said, I mean, Cat may be their best player. I'd still give the nod to Brunson, but the fact that it's that close, you got to give Cat credit for that. So they're a different team with no Cat, but not that impressed with the Knicks today. And their defense has not been as solid as it usually is with Tom Thibodeau. I think they're ranked 15th, so you usually probably want to be in that top 10 if you want to contend for a title, and they're just not there. They're not there.
They're small. Yeah, they're a small team. Like the Warriors were able to get to the rim. They were eating at the rim. I mean, so many open shots. Like this, they could have, like the Warriors played a C- first half, right? Like I think like D at best first half. And then in that second half, blitzed them 1 by 11. Like if the Warriors were just hitting shots in that first half, they easily could have won by 20, 30 points, right? It feels like what is the Knicks A game, right? Like Cat's hitting threes, Brunson's getting to the line. Like, I don't know. It just feels like their ceiling's not that high and their floor seems like pretty low. Like it seems like they have nights where they could go cold. They're not getting to the line. They could get exposed on defense. Like Brunson's kind of a cone. You're playing guys like Shamit, Campaign. Like I get why you're playing your starters 40 minutes because those are your first guys off the bench. So I don't know. I just don't think they have enough to even compete like for 2. Like if they won 1 round, I'd be impressed, but like, who scares you more, them or the Bucks? Like, I'd rather see them than the Bucks. Like, there's no Giannis on that team who's striking fear.
I don't know. Milwaukee's kind of a dumpster fire right now. They traded Chris Middleton, who was their number 3 option, and you get a guy like Kyle Kuzma.
I think he played well.
That seems like that's a desperate move, Sage. If the Warriors try to win a title, like get Steph's last title, and they brought in Kyle Kuzma, it's like, okay, you're trying literally everything, because Kyle Kuzma's never proven that he could be a winning player. I know that he won the bubble chip with the Lakers, but ever since the Lakers got rid of him, he's just been padding the stat sheet in Washington, just not being a winning player.
He was literally in loser town. Like, he was playing losing basketball for 4 years in a row. It's hard. You go be competitive. Like, do you know who, imagine Podziemski on like the Wizards. Like, you can't play winning basketball when you're surrounded by losers in a losing culture. It's just tough. I'm not saying that he's a winner, but he did those things on the Lakers. Like, he was a key piece to them winning that championship. Like, in the bubble.
Also, you have Doc Rivers.
What is that supposed to mean?
Can we just be
He's not awful.
Doc Rivers, like I just brought up Bridges has the best PR guy. Scratch that. Doc Rivers has the best PR guy because he's gone to so many situations where it's just set up for him. I mean, Boston, you get the Boston 3 party. And then I think right after that you have Lob City and the Clippers. I don't think they even make a Western Conference Finals. I think they're still the only team in the NBA the past 30 years to not make a Western Conference Final or a Conference Finals game. And then the Sixers, I can't really blame them for. In hindsight, I mean, you have Joel Embiid,
they're cursed,
James Harden, and Ben Simmons. Like, that was a loser right from the jump. We just didn't know it yet. But I don't know. I'd still go with Knicks over the Bucks for sure.
And then you're unemployed and you just walk into Giannis and Dame. Like, you're literally doing Bill Simmons' podcast and ESPN.
I don't know why he would go back to be the Bucks head coach. He's playing golf with Larry David every day. He's going on the Bill Simmons pod. Like, that is literally that's my dream life. My dream life is to play golf with Larry David at Riviera 3 times a week and hop on Sunday night pods with Bill Simmons. That is literally like that. I'm in heaven if that happens to me.
If you could be a dream guest, like on any podcast, it has to be that one. And then, like, I don't know about the golf with Larry David. I feel like it's more about the stories than the actual play there. But I mean, it's a good life. Like, I always think about that too with some of these guys. I'm like, why the fuck would you go back? Like Travis Kelce, like going back for another year. Like, bro, you're rich. Like, go sit on the beach. Like, do what you got to do.
It is hard to turn down $25 million though, when it's just like, hey, all you got to do is suit up for one more year and you get $25 million in the bank. It's hard to turn that up, Sage. But anything else from this game? So for those who jumped on the stream right now, the Warriors beat the Knicks 114-102. Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler lead the way, but the Warriors defense is really what I thought won the game, kept them in the game the entire way. The Knicks shot 24% from 3, Sage, and I was checking it throughout the game. It was there the entire time. So it's not like they got cold in the second half. The first half, they were up 8, but the only reason the Warriors kept it close was because the Knicks, really outside of OG Anunoby, couldn't buy a bucket. Anybody else that we didn't bring up, Sage, really, with this game?
No one else. Just some tidbits, though. I mean, like, you've had Jimmy now 10 games, right? Or like 9 games, whatever it is. You shot more free throws than your opponents, I think 7 of the 9 times. Like, that's something that was never happened. You see how the game's changed. Like, the way they're
31st to first in free throws since Jimmy's came.
It's crazy. It's literally crazy what having a guy like that could do. Steph Curry, I think it was, -4 in the first half, plus 25 in the second half. Jalen Brunson, -20. I mean, they just took over, man. They play winning basketball. They feel, like I said, they're like a good boxer, right? Like, they're going to feel you out for a few rounds, and when it's time to, like, when they smell blood, they're going to strike.
We're like a Usyk right now. We're like a Usyk. Yeah. We don't really go with the knockout punches, but we just stay in the game, just get points, and then we get the big punches there at the end. And I'm a Tyson Fury guy, so it hurt me to say that, but
34
we are kind of like
28,
Usyk.
Man. Dude, that 5th seed is in play. Like, the Rockets lost today. The Warriors are 3 games back of it now. Like, it is really, and you play them one more time this year. Yeah, let's
just dive into it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit, because the Warriors are about to end this road trip that they're on. They got the Nets on Thursday. Who knows what's going on, Stage? We haven't listened to any of the post games. I think there's a chance that they set a lot of guys against the Nets on Thursday. But overall, this has been a successful road trip. Stage, when you got Jimmy Butler, your best hope was that you could get into the 6th spot towards the end of the season. I mean, we were looking at that Clippers game to end the season, thinking that was going to be the game that maybe decided the 6th spot. You're already in the 6th spot. You're locked into the 6th spot right now. Let me just pull up the standings right quick. But the Warriors are now a half game up on the Timberwolves for the 7th spot, and they're 3 games back of the Houston Rockets, who you brought up, Sage, who are on a 3-game losing streak, and right in front of them are the Memphis Grizzlies, who are the Warriors are 4.5 games back of them. So what turned into a race for the 6th seed is starting to maybe come into a position where the 4 or the 5 could be available.
Oh, 100%. I mean, what hurts is the Rockets have the Pelicans back-to-back games. So you got to hope they split there. But after that, it gets a little tough. They got the Magic, the Rockets, the Mavs, who are kind of a rollover now. The Magic again, Nuggets coming up. So there's opportunity, and you still play them. There's opportunity. You clearly, you got to keep taking care of business. Obviously, you don't want to lose sight of what's ahead, but you got to win games. Make sure you could, keep off whoever's coming behind you in the 6th seed. But I mean, do the Rockets, do you think losing to Pelicans is beneath them? No, their best player is one of what is it? Asar Thompson, Amen Thompson.
Amen Thompson. Yeah. Those are 2 tough names. Amen and Azar.
Yeah.
Come on. What were their parents doing?
So it's just I just don't trust them. They can lose 8 of their next 10 to pretty bad teams, and it wouldn't shock me. They're a young team. They're still figuring themselves out. Obviously, you have Ime, who sets the culture there, but they don't really have a leader. Their leader's Fred VanVleet. And then you have Jalen Green's hucking 23 shots a game some nights. So I don't trust them. I don't think they have an identity. I just think they're a collection of good young players who play hard. They're a regular season team. And right now it's starting to go bad. We got to see how they respond to it, but the Warriors can easily catch them. Say they lose next game, the Warriors win. They're 2 games back, and the Warriors got the Nets next game. So and you still play them. So it's on the table. If you could get that 5 seed, it's game on. It is game on. You get the Grizzlies, then you could get the Thunder, and then maybe the Nuggets. So and then you get the Cavs, and then you got ring number 5 right there.
Oh Lord, you're jumping ahead a little bit, Sage. But
I don't give a shit.
What I'll say about the Rockets,
the way I'm feeling, Chase, right now, this is the best I've ever felt about the Warriors.
No, we're looking at
KD.
You have to look ahead because all the things that Jimmy Butler has done to this team look sustainable. It's not something where this is just maybe a 3 or a 4 game trial period, and who knows, maybe this could all fall apart. I mean, barring injury, knock on wood, this is the Warriors team that we're going to see for the rest of the year, and you get Jonathan Kuminga coming back into the mix. So you got to say that realistically, a deep playoff run is in the cards for the Warriors. When it comes to the Rockets, Sage, they're the 5th seed right now, but I think that they still have the 8th best odds in the West to win the West. So Vegas doesn't believe in them. Like you said, Fred VanVleet's our leader. They got a bunch of young guys. They got young talent all over the place, play solid, hard defense, but the Warriors would pray to whatever deity they pray to get the Rockets in the first round. The thing for me, and I know the Warriors aren't thinking like this, because if they could get to the 5th seed, they're going to want to get to the 5th seed, but part of me is scared that even if you do match up against the Grizzlies in the 4-5 round, that you're going to get cleaned out by OKC in the semis, because they're going to be rested. They're likely going to be coming off of an easy series in the first round. I'd almost rather get that 6th spot and take a shot at getting a Lakers, and then maybe having to go head-to-head with Nikola Jokic in the 2nd round compared to OKC. But that's just me.
I mean,
you don't believe in OKC. You don't believe in OKC, do you?
Like I was just about to get to. Styles make fights, and we just match up with the Thunder so well. Like I said, we're 3-1 against them this year. We're 0-3 against the Lakers. We haven't beaten the Nuggets in 3 years. So that's why, see what you see, man. The teams that give you trouble. The teams you don't want to see. For whatever reason, right? The Kings. They could be shitty. They play us tough. Every time we play the Kings, it's a dogfight. For whatever reason, would you rather see the Kings or the Timberwolves? Even though the Timberwolves might be a better team, the Kings, for whatever reason, just match up with us pretty well. They're fast, they run and gun. The Timberwolves a little slower. We eat up on Gobert, and then it's just can you stop Ant, right? It's huge. Styles make fights. What kind of style wins the fight? I just think the way we play, the veteran, smart, slow down the pace type team is what gave the Thunder fits last year with the Mavs. The Mavs weren't athletic. The Mavs weren't the best shooting team. What'd they do? They slowed the game down, played half-court offense, didn't let the Thunder get out. They outthought them, outworked them, with their minds. And they beat them. Closed them out in 5 or 6, whatever it was. Luka was the best player in the series. I think in the playoffs, Steph will be the best player in the series. Jimmy will be the 3rd best player. So I just like that, where when you go up against the Lakers, they probably have the second and third or the first and third best player in the series. You go up against the Nuggets, like you have the second and third best player, but they have the best player by probably a significant margin. So it's just, how do you match up with them? And I just think the Thunder are the best matchup because the game condenses. You have a 6-7 man rotation, and you're going to be relying on guys like Lou Dort, Caruso, like guys like that. It's not going to be the Isaiah Joes, the Aaron Wiggins. And if they want to go 9 deep in the playoffs, they can, and they could die like that. So I just like what I have rather than trying to deal with LeBron, deal with Luka, or deal with Jokic. But we got to get there first.
Yeah, OKC's tough because when you look at the analytics, when you look at their record, you think, okay, they had the best. No, but I'm saying, like, I'm not an analytics guy, but people have been bringing up how analytics-wise, this is one of the best defenses we've seen, I think, in the 21st century. Like, they're up there. And then you had the MVP with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but no one's giving them respect. And even though sometimes you don't want to believe what NBA players say because they're so close to it, sometimes they kind of lose the perspective on what's going on. It kind of gives me some reassurance that maybe OKC, maybe there are some struggles with Jalen Williams being the second option. Chet is just coming back into it, but now they have a situation where when Chet and Hardenstein are both on the court, their defense is one of the worst in the league. I think they've had one of the lowest defensive ratings in the league, so they're going to have to figure that out. It's just, I don't know. In the second round, that would be a tough matchup for me, but it almost seems like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly. You can't avoid it.
Against any of those top 3 teams. So maybe the best route is to just get a first-round matchup against a Memphis or a Houston, and then you take your shot at those 3 teams from there on out.
No, I mean, I 100% agree. Like, at some point, like, you'd love it to be like Grizzlies, and then somehow the Timberwolves win, and then somehow you get the Spurs for the Western. But that's not how it works, bro. Like, you're going to have to, you want to be the champion, you got to go through the gauntlet. You got to beat these good teams, no matter who it is.
So Tim Kawakami,
no matter, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
No, yeah, but Tim Kawakami brought it up. I was listening to the Plus Minus podcast a couple days ago. He was a little bit less optimistic. He was a little bit less optimistic than us. I'm going to be honest. He said that even though the Warriors are hot to start off, that they're probably going to drop down a little bit, and he thinks they're still going to be in a fight for that 6th seed. He thinks that Minnesota's going to come back up, and that the Clippers have been consistent all year. Are we getting ahead of ourselves? Is the 6th seed almost locked up right now, or do we have to still give some respect to Anthony Edwards and maybe even the LA Clippers and say that the race for the 6th spot isn't over yet?
No, I mean, it's not over, but there's injuries, like shit could happen. You never know what could happen. But like, they're the best team of the bunch, and they have the lead now, and they have the easiest schedule. So I think like we got to start looking ahead, right? Like, we can't get ahead of ourselves. Like you said, beggars can't be choosers, but like, we're not in a begging spot anymore, right? Like we're the 6th seed. Like, we're not in the play-in. We have a chance to move up all the way to 4. So, and control our destiny. Like, we control our destiny. That's the key part, is like, it would take us losing 4 or 5 games. And when it comes down to something like that, it's like, I just don't see it. And like, when you look at it, like, what are the Timberwolves, man? Like, they're literally just Anthony Edwards ISO ball, and they try and play hard deep, but like Jaden Daniels, not really a shooter. The Dillingham, the guy that they drafted, he hasn't really contributed much at all. They have Gobert. They maybe made the worst trade of the offseason. If it wasn't for what the Mavericks did, more people would be talking about what the fuck the Timberwolves did this offseason.
100%. I mean, we were talking about Cat, how good he's been this year.
Yeah.
You get Randall, and he looks like the worst possible fit.
They're better with him off the court. Yeah, they're better with him off the court. DiVincenzo is nothing like he was last year. He was like a sniper. He looked like Klay Thompson. Now he can't even shoot. Like, he provides nothing. He seems so miserable being there. He gets in a fight in his first preseason game with the Knicks. I think it was Jalen Brunson's dad, was it? Or was it Thibodeau? Whatever.
He was going at Thibodeau and Jalen Brunson's dad. Yeah, he was trying to fight with everybody, which, to be fair, he's like a scorn lover at that point. Like, they get the entire Villanova starting 5 in there, and then they send him out to Minnesota. Like, that sucks. That sucks. They did him dirty.
No, so I don't want to say we're looking ahead, but man, like, I just think it's in sight. Like, it's right there. They just got to take it.
We'll see. I mean, Sage, coming up over these next 2 weeks, this is really going to determine where we could go, because you got Kuminga coming back. You got a gettable schedule. I think they have a couple tough games coming up. They got the Knicks back at the Chase Center, and then we're going to see who you really like better, because they play the Milwaukee Bucks too, so there's going to be some tough matches, but
I think they got still a Bucks Nuggets back-to-back soon.
Bucks Nuggets back-to-back, so I think over the next couple weeks is really when you're going to see, okay, how does Jonathan Kuminga fit into this entire setup with Jimmy Butler? And that's when we're going to get the answer, how high the Warriors could go. And I'm hoping that Kuminga just elevates them, and then we really see, like, okay, maybe they're right on that level with the Lakers, with the Thunder.
Sky's the limit, baby.
With the Nuggets. So I'm excited about that. Anything else, Sage, before we hop over to Niners talk?
Nothing else, man. I'm just excited.
Great W. Great. I mean, Sage, whenever you go into MSG, especially against a Knicks team like this, Steph Curry, thank God he found a way to play, because that would have been a fucking
12-1 at the Garden.
That would have been a boner killer. That would have been a boner killer if Steph didn't suit up for the Garden today.
Chase, okay, so Steph's 12-1 in the Garden. Do you know which one he lost? You know what his one L is?
No.
The famous 54-point game.
Hold up. What's that?
I just said it. Oh, did you not hear me?
Oh,
I just fucking said
54-point game?
Yeah, where he became Steph Curry. That was the one loss, was that game, because of how much they sucked. Yeah, that was like the peak, where it's like you see the Warriors coming up, like Steph could have 50 games and 50-point games, you could still lose. Like I'm a little happy we're past that point, but it's just funny because that was the game that everyone remembers Steph as his coming out party, and a lot of people forget, like, they lost that game. Like when you go back and watch the highlights, you're like, oh, when do they make the comeback? Like, when do they make the comeback? And it just doesn't happen.
If you're the Knicks, that's so tough, because it's awesome, right? Your home court's MSG. You play 41 games at MSG all year, but it's almost like you're the defending champions every year, because everybody's trying to have their best game of the year when they go to MSG. I mean, we all know MJ back in the day used to do that. LeBron James has been doing that his entire career, and like we saw it with Steph today. There was no way he was going to miss this game, even though, like, if this was in Detroit, Sage, if this game was in Detroit, like Steph Curry he's sitting this game and he's playing on Thursday. There's no way in fuck he plays if this game's at the Smoothie Center in New Orleans. So it's almost kind of like a blessing and a curse for the Knicks that MSG's their home ground.
The Smoothie King Center? You're hating on Smoothie King? But yeah, no,
I'm
100%.
hating on Smoothie King. I mean, maybe we're just like regular Californians who don't know about the rest of the country. I've never heard of fucking Smoothie King outside of it being the stadium for the Pelicans.
It can't be that. It has to be good, but like it can't be that good where you name your stadium after. Like, how much money does a smooth like Jamba Juice? Imagine like the Warriors. Like, yeah, we're hosting a playoff game at Jamba Juice Arena. Like, I just can't imagine. Like,
I mean, it seems like a Walmart version. Yeah, it seems like a Walmart version of Dairy Queen. Like Dairy Queen, and it's like, oh, we're Smoothie King. It's like, all right.
What's the best sport name? It has to be Madison Square Garden, right?
FTX Arena. FTX Arena. Remember that one?
What? No.
That was Miami. Miami was FTX Arena, and then he stole billions of dollars from people, and then they had to get rid of him. But Madison Square Garden's great. I mean, Chase Center.
I like to love that more.
I gotta love Chase Center. TD Garden, Boston. I like
TD
that
Garden.
one.
Anything with Garden. Garden just adds like a big element to it.
And you got the parquet courts on Boston too. So I would have to go
the Palace.
Boston. I don't think it's the Palace anymore. I think they had to retire the Palace.
What is it now?
I think it's Little Caesars Arena.
It is Little Caesars. I was gonna say it's still I
think it's something like not memorable at all, because they had to get rid of that right after Ron Artest went up into the 20th row and started beating the shit out of Pistons fans. They had to retire that name.
Little Caesars Arena is tough, man. That is terrible. Pizza Hut.
Well, who knows? I mean, the Pistons. I mean, we didn't even talk about the Pistons, but it seems like they're starting to make something happen again. I don't think the Pistons have had. Yeah, we're gonna see them Saturday. They haven't won a playoff series since 2008. They've been the Little Caesars Arena for about 10 years. So it seems like Detroit basketball is coming back. Detroit, what a time to be a Detroit sports fan. You got the Pistons coming back. You got the Lions, who got the 1 seed. Season didn't end the way they wanted to, but Detroit may be back, man. 3-1-3, baby. Rep. But all right, that's a good time to transition. So Sage, me and Max recorded on, I think it was Saturday, but you weren't able to make it. But some big news happened. So the 49ers traded Deebo Samuel to the Washington Commanders for a 5th-round pick. We all know there's been a lot of shit with Deebo the past year. Get into a fight with Jake Moody. Going after Kyle Shanahan on Twitter. Requesting a trade at the end of the season. It's been a nightmare for Deebo, and they let go of him on Saturday. The Deebo Samuel era in San Francisco is no more. He is a Washington Commander. Your thoughts?
I mean, it was almost like the Klay Thompson thing last year. I mean, obviously nowhere near the pedigree, nowhere near the peak of what Clay was, whatever. But like, it just got to that point where like, you love the guy, you love what he did for you, but you knew it was time to go, right? Like you understood like it's time for him to see new things, for us to see what it looks like without him. But I mean, like, I can't say I'm sad to see him go. Like, it broke my heart to see like a guy like Clay go. Like, Deebo was supposed to be a Niners legend. Like, he's the boombox guy. He's the personality of the team. He was Deebo. He was the chant leader. But it was time, man. Like the demanding for the ball, saying you're not washed, like the total like ego, just like not accepting the fact at what point you are in your career, and just like being free from like his shackles and like Kyle's love for him, right? Like he's the girl that Kyle Shanahan just can't quit. No matter what it is, he can't quit her. Chase, I was saying it all year. Like, I don't know what I was like, I don't know what it is about you, but I can't quit. Like, that's what Kyle is with Deebo. Go watch Brokeback Mountain. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's Jake Gyllenhaal and
Oscar Snub,
yeah.
all-timer.
Heath Ledger, Jake Gyllenhaal. It's literally Kyle Shanahan, Deebo Samuel. Like, we had to get rid of Deebo. He'll still be drawing plays for Deebo. Like, it'll take him like years to get over that Deebo's not here, but I'm just happy, man. Like, it's going to be so good for the Niners. Like, you don't have to give him the ball. You could actually have a receiver play the position who knows how to catch the ball, who could run a route tree. Like, we're going to get into it, but like, there's names out there. There's guys who are going to fit in better with Purdy. Deebo was better with Jimmy because Jimmy couldn't throw down the field. They could get him the ball in the backfield, use him as a wide back, as they like to say. But when you're fat, you're old, you're always injured, and you're taking up $30 million on the cap, get the hell out. Glad Commanders paying his whole salary. I would have traded him for a 7th-round pick. Like, that was the win. Is now you don't have to pay him. He's gone.
We still have to eat the cap, though. So this is basically just helping Jed York. I mean, it's still going to affect our cap number. They don't have to
it's
pay
only
Deebo
17,
Samuel
right?
17. It's only $17 million. Sage, I brought it up. Deebo Samuel's not the same player. He may fit into a good role with the Commanders because Jane Daniels is a fucking stud and probably the best young quarterback in the NFL. So you may see some success with Deebo, but he's not the same guy in Sage. I didn't bring this up in Saturday, but Deebo has not been cool since he got traded. I think it was like 30 minutes after he has the souped up photo with him, Jane Daniels, and Terry McLaurin all in Washington gear. Usually when an all-time legend at a place who's made 2 Super Bowls with that team, with that fan base, maybe gives a couple paragraph note. He just gave a deuces and said, thanks y'all for everything. And then I think came out today, responded to Matt Barrows, 49ers insider Matt Barrows. He had an article where he was basically labeling some reports that Deebo Samuel was 25 pounds overweight, and Deebo Samuel was taking shots at Matt Barrows too. So it seems like I think that right after the 49ers fans booed him in that Rams Thursday Night Football game with that huge drop, I think Deebo was mentally out there. He had the one good game against Miami. I think he was just trying to put some on tape so he could get some trade value and get the fuck out of there.
No, I mean, maybe like it's like the Luka thing, right? Like he's overweight. Like it takes something like this to motivate him to get back into shape, to play with a chip on his shoulder again after getting paid. But he can do that somewhere else. If it wasn't going to change here, it wasn't going to happen here. He was just going to eat himself to death and just, beg for the ball on social media, try and convince himself that he's not washed when all of America, including himself, deep down knows he's not the same player. Then good riddance. Like this was one of those things where it's like a toxic lover. You got to get him out of the locker room. Get him out. He's fighting with the punt, the long snapper, the kicker, who probably won't be on the team this year, which that's another thing. But it's just another win, man. Like the Niners, like they haven't done anything. I mean, they haven't been able to be fair. But they haven't done anything extravagant. But they've made all the right moves. You get rid of the D coordinator. You get rid of Sorensen. You get rid of your special teams coach. You bring in a guy like Saleh. Now you get Deebo out of town. Like you're turning the page. You're doing the right things. All the things that were holding you back last year that weren't injury related, you're addressing them right away. You get a guy who knows the culture, a guy who ran this defense well, brought you to a Super Bowl, right? Had a top 3 defense in the league. You bring him back. You get your 2 fucking shitheads out of the building, and now you get the biggest diva you have in the locker room, the biggest cancer you had in the locker room. He's gone. So I can't hate. I mean, you got the Purdy talks going today. You got free agency coming next week. You got trades about to start going down. The combine's in full force. You can see what kind of personnel they bring in, but I like what they've done so far. You're bringing the culture back. You're bringing back the organizational piece.
Well, Sage, I don't think a lot of 49ers fans were upset with this move. Nobody was really on the side of bad move to trade Deebo Samuel because I think a lot of people coming into the season are confident rolling out Ricky Pearsall, who had a great end of the year last year, Juwan Jennings, who has become a fan favorite. Honestly, was a revelation last year. And the guy that you just signed to a 4-year, $120 million contract 7 months ago, Brandon Ayuk. But, Sage, a day after this Deebo trade news went down, we got some rumors that Brandon Ayuk might get traded. So Adam Schefter goes on the Pat McAfee show today and basically says that the Niners are taking calls for Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk responds, Sage, did you see his IG post?
I did see his IG post. After not responding or after not posting for 6 months, he comes out with that. Do you want me to pull it up?
A year.
Was it a year?
Up. I think it was a year. And Sage, okay. I'll be honest with you, I'm not down with the lingo. I'm not down with the culture. But I have this quote right here from Brandon Ayuk's tweet.
Okay,
this is the caption. If you ain't worth 100 or better than mad emoji in another city, I'm icy. Ian got none tucked. Hashtag PS. What the fuck does this mean? But I know that it can't be positive for the 49ers.
All right, Chase, I'm going to go rap genius on you.
Do you get this?
I'm going to go rap genius on you. Give me 3 words at a time and I'll break it down for you. Go right ahead.
All right, I got you. If you ain't worth 100 or better than, if you ain't worth 100 or better than mad face emoji in another city, what does that mean?
Okay, from the top again. I'm trying to dissect this in real time.
No, it's okay. This is how we got to do it. If you ain't worth 100 or better than mad face emoji in another city.
I think he's reflecting on the political climate of the world right now. I think he's saying, like, if you're not worth it, like if you're not standing on morals and then they want you in another city, then you got to be mad about it. All right, continue.
So it seems like he may be pro-Ukraine there. Maybe he's looking for a little Zelensky payments coming out. And then after that, so he says, I'm icy, ain't got none tucked. Hashtag PS.
I think he said, okay, I think I understand this one. He's saying, I'm icy, but I ain't got none tucked. Like, I ain't got the strap on me, but I still got ice. So
does that mean like
it's like a war thing? He's like talking about Ukraine, the war. And he's just saying, like, if you ain't want me in this city, then I'm going to go to the next city and I'm going to be me. I'm going to stay icy. Wrist up, Shador. I think that's it.
So Sage, thank you for that there. That actually made me understand a lot more. What I will say is that I still don't know what he said. I appreciate you trying to dive into that a little bit. But I kind of want him out. I kind of want to get rid of Brandon Ayuk. I mean, we've heard reports throughout since they signed that deal that he's still upset. He's upset with all the contract negotiations that it took so long. It's like, dude, like literally Michael Corleone, it's not personal. It's strictly business. Like,
yeah, why you got your feelings there, bro?
You tore your ACL in week 5 and you still have guaranteed money coming your way. This is why we had to be so tough in negotiations, why John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan had to make sure they were doing the right thing. Then there's just trade rumors coming out from Adam Schefter, not even like they're actively looking to trade you. They're just open to listening to trade talks. You have a torn ACL. You're sitting on your fucking ass. Of course they're going to hear if somebody wants to take that contract off the books. This guy is way too fucking sensitive, man, and I'm almost done with it. I'm almost done.
It's getting to that point. It's like a ghost, like literally the CTE wide receiver ghost that just like goes from locker room. Deebo's gone, now it's going to come to Ayuk. Even though it's been with Ayuk, we've talked about it. Like he was doghoused as a rookie. He wasn't getting the ball as a second-year player because they said he had issues. He was throwing fits, like tantrums, having lock-ins, wearing the wrong shorts on purpose to make a statement. Like, bro, it's the NFL. It's a job, right? Like they're not just going to pay you because you're their friend. This is what I don't like about the Niners. Like they're too buddy-buddy with players that like once it comes to the negotiation table, it's almost like they can't put it aside. That's why it's nice to have a guy like Parag, like kind of like a third party who handles this type of shit. But like they know it comes from Shanahan. They know it comes from Lynch. And these guys are buddy-buddy. Like they try and be friends with them that when something doesn't go their way, like in these contracts, it just becomes so personal with them. Like you see it with Deebo, now you see it with Ayuk. I can't understand it when, dude, you played for 5 weeks and you were the wide receiver 4, the wide receiver 3. Like Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, he did not look good at the start of the year, Sage. He looked awful coming in.
He had more drops this season than he did last season. And he played like a fourth of the amount of games. And then you tear your ACL. Yeah, that's why teams don't want to pay you. They're scared. And not only that, but they overpaid you. Like you're a good wide receiver. You're a sometimes great wide receiver. You're getting paid to be an elite wide receiver, which frankly, you never have been. You have never been an elite wide receiver. I'm saying elite. I'm saying all Pro Bowl. You have never been that. And they paid you like that because they like you. They see what they see the potential in you. And then you come back like this, like, oh, I'm so sad I wasn't the highest paid receiver. Like I'm so sad they didn't pay me earlier. Yeah, no shit. When you want that type of money, you're not that type of guy. They're going to feel the market. So don't get your feelings hurt, man. Like, you got the bag. You're sitting on your ass. Just be thankful you're out there.
Exactly. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown, those are the kind of guys that are getting the money that Brandon Ayuk's getting, and he's not anywhere near it. He wasn't anywhere near it at his peak. And last year he looked like the worst version of himself that I've probably seen since his rookie year. He looked really bad coming into a season where he didn't really have a training camp. You had those tense negotiations, and now you tore your ACL. I think that with modern medicine right now, I mean, we've seen Adrian Peterson come back after 7 months. I think that there's a good chance that Brandon Ayuk's going to be. I think that there's a great chance that Brandon Ayuk's going to be the same player. But if you're the 49ers and you had that kind of contract on the books, we're not going to get into it because holy shit, as everybody been talking about this, but you have the Brock Purdy contract negotiations coming up. You're going to have a lot of money coming onto the books. If some team came to you and said, hey, Sage, you know that wide receiver that has a torn ACL that you're due to pay $120 million, we'll take him off your hands and give you a second-round pick. The 49ers have to listen to that offer no matter what.
Yeah,
even
100%.
if 7 months ago they made a major financial commitment to this guy and believe that he is an elite wide receiver. You got to listen to the trade talks. I don't think it's a situation where they're reaching out and they want to get rid of Brandon Ayuk, but based on the reactions that this guy's giving, who knows, man? Maybe it's just a good call to get the fuck out of the Brandon Ayuk business, save up on that cap space, throw it out to the defense, throw it out to the offensive line. You already got a lot of weapons on that offense anyways. Where you really got killed last year was in the trenches. Maybe you take away that Brandon Ayuk $30 million and put it towards the trenches a little bit. I'm starting to near there, and maybe they are too.
I mean, like, if say the Chargers call you up, they're like, hey, we'd give you Ladd McConkey for Brandon Ayuk. You'd listen. Like, I don't know, like if a team who just wants to take him off your books, like, you'd listen. It's not like they're shopping you. It's just like a team like you see who people are saying like are interested in Brandon Ayuk, the Steelers, who have been trying to get you for 3 years. Like, yeah, sorry that the Steelers called about the Niners and they're listening to offers. It doesn't mean they're trying to trade you, bro. Like you said, don't be so sensitive. It ain't personal. It's just business.
It's just strictly business. And with these Brandon Ayuk trade rumors, Sage, it's getting a lot of traction. Like, this is a national conversation. So the next question that you got to ask is, if the 49ers do end up trading Brandon Ayuk, are you just going to roll Ricky Pearsall out there? Are you going to roll Juwan Jennings out there? Are you maybe going to get some kind of mid-tier veteran? Or are you going to take a big swing? And there was some news outside of the Bay Area in the NFL today. The Jets released Devontae Adams. Sage, it seems like they want to wash their hands of anything that touched or was related to Aaron Rodgers. They saved $30 million in cap space by cutting Devontae Adams. He's now a free agent. Is there any chance that Devontae Adams returns home? He's from Palo Alto. Everybody knows this. That he would be interested in coming to the 49ers and that the 49ers would be interested in the Devontae Adams business.
Well, first of all, when Devontae was getting traded last season, he had the Niners on his short list. Like, they were one of the teams he was interested in. It was his two buddies. It was Derek Carr and the Saints and Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. And then third on that list was the Niners. I think this is a perfect move for the Niners. I think as a wide receiver 3, he brings a veteran, mature presence. Devontae Adams, never been a diva. He's always been a mature guy.
You think he's going to be a wide receiver 3 on this team, Sage?
I mean, okay, I'm assuming you're keeping Brandon Ayuk, right? Okay, wide receiver 2. He's your third option receiver, I'm saying. Like, Kittle, I think Ayuk, and I think he'd be a perfect, third option to have. I don't think he's near the guy he used to be, is what I'm trying to get. Like, I think he's a good receiver, but I think, you have him as a third option. And fuck, man, Juwan's pretty good too now. Juwan's younger. I mean, I'd take Devontae Adams over Juwan, but I don't know what Devontae Adams is going to be like next year. But I just think he's perfect, man. Like, if you're going to give me a washed receiver, and it's either him or Deebo, give me Devontae Adams all day. There's a different type of wash. He could still make catches. He could still make plays. Obviously, he's not what he was, and you saw it with Rodgers, but the whole Jets organization was a dumpster fire. Let's see what he could be with Shanahan, right? Let's see what he could be in this offense when it's not all eyes on him. You have a guy like Pearsall. McCaffrey's back in the mix. Kittle. Juwan Jennings is making a name for himself. I just think he could unlock your offense because we've said it. Deebo's not really a Purdy guy. Purdy likes to throw down the field. Deebo doesn't have hands. Deebo could run one route, and it's straight. That's it. Straight and maybe a slant. But he's too fat. He can't catch across his body. Devontae has great hands. He could still win routes in the red zone. He brings a red zone presence that this team desperately, desperately needs. You get a big receiver who could catch, run quick routes. Like, I just think it's perfect. How much money is the question? It's the question that, the price got to be right. It's the big thing. So if you could get him on a good enough deal, fuck yeah, bro. Like, that makes the offense that much better. And you got to take these type of moves, make the wins around the margins to get to a Super Bowl, beat a team like Philadelphia to get there.
Okay, Sage, this is what I'll say. So coming from Davante Adams' perspective, you've been with probably the worst two franchises in the NFL. I mean, the Las Vegas Raiders, who are run by a bumbling idiot who goes to P.F. Chang's 5 times a week. I mean, the Raiders have no shot of ever being good. Then you go to the Jets, who are maybe even more snake bit than the Raiders, as hard as that is to believe. So there is a part of you that thinks like, okay, maybe Davante Adams, he's 32. Does he want to go to a situation with a great play caller like Kyle Shanahan, go for the ring? He's coming home too, so you got that added benefit. But for me, Sage, this guy's going to want to get paid. 2 years ago, he got signed to a $28 million contract, and you said maybe he would be the third option. This is only a move the Niners could consider if they get Brandon Ayuk off the books. And if they do, how many other teams are going to be looking to sign Davante Adams? I mean, you brought up Pittsburgh, but you still have the Commanders, who have a lot of cap space. You have the Los Angeles Chargers, who, even though they have Ladd McConkey, they don't want Ladd McConkey to be Justin Herbert's number one option for the next couple years. They're going to try to make a push to get into that Super Bowl conversation. And Sage, I hate to say it, but who's the one team that definitely needs a guy like Davante Adams to up the offense a little bit? The team that just got blown out in the Super Bowl 3 weeks ago.
Chiefs.
The Kansas City
Bills.
Chiefs. You don't think that Davante Adams has options? He's not going to take a pay cut to come to the Niners, Sage. It is going to take $30 million or more to sign Davante Adams. So you're telling me that you want to get a 32-year-old Davante Adams, who clearly has not been the same guy that we came to know in Green Bay the past 2 years, switch out a 26-year-old Brandon Ayuk, bring this guy in and pay him any more money? Fuck that, Sage. No way.
Chase,
I don't
you remember
want
that?
anything to do with Davante Adams. If you trade Brandon Ayuk, I maybe consider it if he took a pay cut, but the reality is, Sage, he's not going to take a fucking pay cut. So I'm not paying that guy $35 million. Put it into the lines. Why do we always need to go with these wide receivers? Why do we need to go with these weapons? You have Christian McCaffrey. You have George Kittle. You have Jennings, Pearsall. You need to build up those lines. All 3 levels of the defense need somebody. Use the money there, not for a fucking wide receiver.
I just think the market's a little tough, and if you can't make those moves, you got to improve somewhere, so it's worth it. Yeah, obviously, I'm not going to pay the guy $20 million. I got the thought, Chase, do you remember that one Cavs team that had or it's like almost that Lakers team. There was that Cavs team that had like D Rose, Dwayne Wade, LeBron, and then there was that Lakers team with like Melo, Dwight Howard, Russ, like that famous picture, right? Rajon Rondo. That would be the Chiefs with DeAndre Hopkins, Davante Adams, and Travis Kelce. It's like the 2016 super team with just like old washed parts. Like, it just doesn't work in a game where you need athleticism. So I don't think he'd be a fit on the Chiefs at all. What he provides, they don't need. I get it. You'd think it works with Mahomes, but DeAndre Hopkins played terrible football as soon as he got to the Chiefs. He was fine before, and then once he got there, he just really didn't fit in. So I don't think that's a team he'd go to. I think Buffalo would be interested. They can make him the wide receiver one with Josh there, where he could use his legs, kind of use him when they need to. But I'm not saying like I want to go all out. This is the move. Obviously, the trenches are number one. You saw the formula to beat the Chiefs. And if you want to even compete with the Eagles, you got to be competitive in the trenches. So Devontae's not blocking Jalen Carter. Devontae's not protecting Brock Purdy's blind side. So I 100% agree with you. I'm not paying him that type of money. If he's cheap, which he should be, because like I said, I think he's a wide receiver 3 at this point, not even a 2. That's what you got to be. If Davante Adams is your wide receiver 1, you're not a good football team. Point blank, period.
So, Sage, I have a new segment that I'm going to spring onto you right now. It's called the Grant Cohn Dumbest Topic of the Week.
Okay.
Do you sign Aaron Rodgers and then bring in Davante Adams? Because there is a chance that Davante Adams just waits until Aaron Rodgers signs with somebody and then goes there. We've seen him do it a couple times now. So, Grant Cohn's Dumbest Topic of the Week. Should the Warriors not sign Brock Purdy, sign Aaron Rodgers, and then get Davante Adams?
The Niners. But no. No, and no.
Wait,
I don't
what
want
did I say?
anything. You said the Warriors.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Hey, guys, it's a little bit late here. I'm running on like 4 coffees. I'm trying to stay energized here. That's on me. That's on me, baby.
I'm gonna say no. Obviously, no. I don't want Aaron Rodgers. I want nothing to do with him, because if you don't win the Super Bowl this year, you ruin your entire plan. Like, Brock's gone. You're bringing in a guy who's arguably worse than him, and you just ruin everything. And he's going to take over the locker room. Him and Shanahan just feel like they wouldn't work together. And then why? Why go backwards? You're already an old team. Why get even older? If anything, you got to go younger, build up the trenches. And like the other thing, like he can't move, right? Like how's he get like what? You have McKivitz walking Aaron Rodgers. It just feels like a recipe for disaster. You have Brendel snapping the ball to Aaron Rodgers. It just feels like that's a recipe for disaster. It won't work. Pay Brock, bring him back, and steer clear of Aaron Rodgers.
So, Sage, can I zag for a second? Because if you bring Aaron Rodgers into this locker room, him and Kyle Shanahan are going to be talking day by day. And we've been saying it. I think Kyle Shanahan needs to chill out a little bit. He's too tense. He's too tense in these late game situations. We've seen it in a couple Super Bowls. We've seen it in an NFC Championship game or two. What if Aaron Rodgers gave him a dose or two of ayahuasca? Open up Kyle Shanahan's mind. Got him to chill out a little bit. Just let go. Just have Kyle Shanahan let go. Maybe run the ball a little bit more in key late game situations in the playoffs. Could that unlock Kyle Shanahan? Just a little ayahuasca.
To be honest, it might be what he needs.
Subtopic. Does Kyle
Embrace
Shanahan need to try ayahuasca?
I think he needs to try it like any time his team's trailing by 10 or has a lead, right? Just take a hit. Maybe just like be the anti-Kyle. Be loose, right? Like I need you more Sorensen at times than I need you Shanahan. Like get a little surfer vibe, get a little high, hit the bong if you got to, do a little ayahuasca because he does get tight and you could feel it through your fucking TV screen when he gets tight because the whole sideline gets tight. He needs a little bit of that looseness. Like I think it could work. I think it could be a match made in heaven. From an ego standpoint, it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work unless they're both high.
Well, this is what I'm saying. What if Kyle Shanahan just had a Tony Soprano moment where Tony Soprano takes peyote in Las Vegas, goes out to the desert, trips, and comes to a realization that everything's fine? I don't know. I feel like this is a topic that nobody's going to think about, but if Kyle Shanahan just had a awakening through the use of peyote or ayahuasca, I feel like that's really what would take the Niners over the line.
I like it. I like your thought here. I mean, what?
No. I'm rambling. I'm rambling now, but I feel like that actually is a good idea that we fell on there. But all right, Sandra, anything else? Any other things? I mean, Devontae Adams, who knows? Like we said,
it's Warrior season. Like we could build the trenches in a few weeks, but right now it's like I'm still bitter at how the season ended.
100%. It's Warrior season, and I don't know, Sage. I'm just looking forward to playoff basketball coming at the end of April, start of May. It's almost like, hey, it's almost like freshman year of college again. It's almost like I'm coming back from San Diego. The Warriors got KD. The weather's starting to get good in the Bay Area, and Dubs playoff basketball is coming back. Yeah, I'm starting to cut at the gym. I'm starting to hit more cardio. Like, just starting to feel like old times. It's starting to feel like old times again. I can't wait. Love the Warriors, but all right, Sage, before we head out here, I wanted to bring up one topic, and I saw him today on First Take. He was talking about how he was going to go to the game today, but what's been going on with Stephen A. Smith? Why have we gone so far with Stephen A. Smith in today's society? So, did you see him earlier in the week?
I did, of course.
So, Stephen A. Smith is on The View with Joy Behar. I mean, I don't know who's on The View anymore. I know that Joy Behar is on there, but they ask him, they say, you're going above everybody else in some polls for the Democratic nomination for the next election. Would you ever consider it? And Stephen A. said, I don't know if I'd consider it, but here's one thing that I do know. I would beat all of them. I would beat anybody that would run for the Democratic Party right now. The Stephen A. transformation over the past 15 years has to be studied in colleges, just through historians. This guy did one hit a week on First Take like 15 years ago. Now has a $30 million a year contract with ESPN. Walks into arenas that he's covering like he's prime Kobe Bryant, about to drop 35 in a Game 7 of the finals. Now there's serious headway that he may be president. What's going on, and how do we get here?
I don't know. He's almost like the Steve Harvey, right? Of sports talk, where it's like he's hosting everything, like he's everywhere. I don't know how it happened, why he's so famous, but like he's on General Hospital. He's on literally every point of like ESPN production, anything, post-game shows, pre-game shows. They have him doing UFC, First Take. Like he's running the entire show. Like he's their guy, highest paid. I don't know. I'm trying to find his contract. I don't know what it is, But I know it's a lot. Like
It's like $30 million a year.
He's like a real life cartoon character. Is like how I look at him. Like he's not even like a person. He's a persona that he just like embodies every day. Like it starts off with like the Cowboys thing, like calling the Cowboys fan, his vocabulary. I think that's a big thing, right? Like saying like huge words whenever he's shocked, like saying like 3-4 syllable words, like expanding. Like he can't just say like I'm shocked. He has to say like I'm blasphemous. Like it's like I can't like even believe like what I just saw. Like the whole him and Skip thing, like their marriage together, everything. So it just worked out, and then he took it, man. Like you gotta understand, like this type of industry, like it's like a snowball. Like once you get famous, you only get more famous. Like once you get there, like it just grows and grows exponentially. And he's just become like he is ESPN. Like there is no ESPN without Stephen A. Like he is the entire network. He has them on their shoulders, and he's got an ego, man. Like you can't lie about it. Like he's got an ego.
He's got a big time ego.
He thinks he could run for president and win. So I mean, I just gotta respect at this point. He is
Sage,
funny.
you know what's fucked?
You
know what's fucked up, Sage? You know what's fucked up? I believe him. I think he would fucking win the Democratic nomination.
You're high, bro. You're dumb.
I swear. If you threw him up against Pete Buttigieg on a debate stage, this guy debates 3 hours a day. He clocks in to his fucking work every day. Debates for 3 hours. You're telling me you put up Stephen A against Pete Buttigieg in a debate that Stephen A doesn't fucking run him. That's Stephen A minus 600 versus Pete Buttigieg in a debate.
What? Okay, Biden versus Trump or Stephen A versus Skip debating politics. What's more like, I got to get to my TV. It's like Steph's on a heater. Like I'm dropping everything, getting to my TV.
That would be great. Ooh, I still got Stephen A. I still got Stephen A in a debate against Skip, but I would definitely like to see it. I'd probably rather see that one than another Biden zombie fest for sure.
You got to just think, right? Like I didn't think about that aspect. Like I just think like he has no political experience. He doesn't know anything about policy. Doesn't strike me as too keen on politics, but on the actual debate stage, like if it's not like he's not getting just absolutely hounded because they don't want a non-political guy in there, like he might be able to BS and like vocab his way out of some situations. I just can't imagine like what his take on some things.
Sage, what would make you think that some guy who doesn't know politics could go into debates and whoop politicians' ass? Is it the past 8 years with what we've seen with the guy who's 100%. In the office right now? He's dominated them. That's literally what won in the election is dominating people in debates. So I have no doubt in my mind that if you threw him up on a debate stage, he would kick ass. Sage, who's the only person who I think I would take in a political debate over him? And
I have one.
Nothing connected to politics. All right, go ahead. What's your guess?
All right, so you presented me this. You said, right? Like, who would you want? I have my guy.
If you just had to make sure Stephen A did not get the Democratic nomination, who are you putting up against him to make sure he doesn't get the bid?
Okay, well, my guy's not running from the Democratic side, so I don't know about that. But
same shit.
I'm going Joe Rogan.
Ooh, that's actually a great call. That's a great call.
I think because Chase presented me this question. He's like,
that wasn't even on my radar, but that's actually probably the 1-1. That's the 1-1 right there.
Because I was like thinking like, what would people want to see? I'm like Rogan, who's like completely the like total opposite like side of Stephen A. Like he has a huge platform. Like they both have huge platforms. They both talk. They don't like Rogan doesn't debate, but he talks to so many political guys, like all the most interesting people in the world. He has all this insider knowledge that he could share. He's so calm. He doesn't have a huge vocabulary. He's kind of just like a stoner vibes where like Stephen A is like cocaine vibes, like off of perk vibes, like going full metal. That I just think it'd be like such a battle of like two totally different evils. Right. So I just think it'd be a fun debate, but I think Rogan's platform's bigger. He's more respectable. Like when it comes to this side of the world, like the political side, that I think Rogan would be the perfect candidate to take him down. And I just think it'd be like Rogan versus Stephen A. Like you're just colliding two worlds. Like I think it would be a perfect political TV, like just TV in general. It'd be cinema, not even TV.
So Sage, he's already 1-0 against Stephen A. Smith. Do you not remember what happened?
Yeah. And for the UFC coverage.
Yeah, UFC. Stephen A. goes on there, talks, clearly doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And Joe Rogan, you could see video of Joe Rogan just like looking up on him like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And then a guy goes on to his podcast, I think a couple days later, and says, yeah, what was Stephen A. doing up there talking at UFC 200? He's like, I don't know, man. They just send him out there. I just think that they should have experts coming out on UFC. Stephen A. tried to come back at him, and then Joe Rogan, I think I forgot what he said, but he annihilated him. Stephen A. knew that he was a fish out of water and that he just couldn't touch Joe Rogan at that point. So that's a great call by you, Sage. Sage, I kind of went a different way. I went a different way. So my candidate, because like I said, I'm kind of throwing this on who do I think would beat Stephen A in a debate. I got Molly Kieran.
Get the fuck out of here.
I got Molly Kieran because think about it. That's the one person that Stephen A will back down to. I feel like Stephen A won't back down to everybody. He won't back down to he won't back down to LeBron. He won't back down to Maverick Carter. He won't back down to literally anybody. But Molly Kieran's the one person that can bring him in and like always takes control of that show. So I feel like if you just had Stephen A going on a tangent and then Molly was just like, Stephen A, let me talk. I feel like she would get the best of him. I feel like it would be like, oh, wow, Molly's kind of dominating right now. Like she's completely controlling the stage. So I think that you had the better pick, but I don't know. For some reason, Molly Kieran came to mind. Also, Nick Wright. Nick Wright was also.
Nick Wright would be that was my second option, but I just didn't want to go two sports figures. They've been going at it these past 2 weeks because they were talking about. Did you see them going at it for the KD thing?
I did not know.
You got to look it up after. I don't want to tell the story, but I wanted to track from this. Everyone knows the one thing Stephen A loves more than sports debate is women and women of ethnic culture. So I just think his mind it's a 2-track. It's not a 1-track mind. It's a 2-track mind, and one track is range stronger than the other. That he's like, you know what? I'll let her have the floor here with like the 10% chance that I might get some later. So I think that's the reason he bows down to Molly. There's a reason he doesn't bow down to Big Perk. There's a reason he doesn't bow down to Max Kellerman to Skip, but it was Molly. It's always, the host role. So I do like your pick, but I gotta say mine would be more box office, as they say.
I'm surprised. Do you think you would not give some love to Jalen Rose, who was married to Molly Kieran, and be like, all right, I'm gonna back off because that's his woman? Or you think Stephen A is like, he's like rolling into MSG with shades on, he's got like a $10,000 suit. He's like, I could fuck whoever I want. I don't give a shit if Jalen Rose was in there before me. Like, I'm going in.
That's Stephen A for you, bro. His ego, like we said, he's got him and Deebo Samuel, like just the two biggest egos we know.
We need somebody to silence Stephen A because, in all honesty, he's a sports broadcaster. Like, cool it down.
Nick tried to. They buddy-buddied it.
They buddy-buddied it?
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll see a classic matchup like Nick Wright versus Stephen A. But all right, Sager, we're coming up on the 122 mark here. Warriors get a great win against the New York Knicks. Deebo gets traded. Brandon Ayuk, who knows? But we'll see what happens with that entire saga. Anything else before we hop off here, Sage? What's going on?
I think we covered all bases. I'm glad to be back. Gonna get the podcast going. Me and Chase, we've been talking, man. Like, it's spring this Sunday. We got some big things coming. Only one way to see it. Subscribe, like, find us on TikTok, on YouTube, we're on Twitch. Twitter's going. I mean, we have all our platforms out there. You can find it in the bio. Click, hit the link. You know where to find us. Got a lot of exciting things coming. I'd like to say on the board, we're putting it together now.
Yeah, we do.
Just, stick with us, and it's coming soon, like within the month. So we'll be back, man. I'm excited for it. It's freedom, and it's time to roll. Time to get this thing really going.
If you like what we're doing, like and subscribe. YouTube, follow our TikTok. We got a lot of great stuff coming out on TikTok. But like Sage said, get in tune because we got a little bit more time now. Warriors playoffs coming up, so we're gonna have a lot of great content coming out for everybody. That's gonna be it for the stream today. We're gonna be coming back to you later in the week. Look out on X, Twitter, whatever the fuck it's called right now, for updates on when the next stream is coming. But this is it for today. We'll talk to you guys later.